Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for coming to our July luncheon, How to Attract and Attain Talent with Benefits. We have 3 panelists, but before we get there, Dawn Leverett, Board Chair, please take it away.
I would like to thank our premium members today. We have our platinum members, Dan Wiseman, Hughes Media Law Group, and Signal of South Puget Sound. We have our gold members, Cornerstone Benefits Consulting Group, Duwamish Tribal Services, Home Street Bank of West Seattle, Nucor Steel, Port of Seattle, Quail Park Memory Care Residences of West Seattle, Seattle Auto Licensing, South Seattle College, Spot On, Staples Westwood Village, Verity Credit Union, and White Center Glass. Since we met last, we have several new members to the chamber. We have Stephanie Malding from Cross Country Mortgage. We have Beloved Animals Rescue Relief Foundation. We have Craft Lab Seattle. We have Westside Team with Point 3 Real Estate. We have Denise Simmons with Compass. We have West Seattle Wonder Dogs. We have Raymond Lau CPA, and we have Neighborhood Naturopathic. Whitney, you want to tell us about upcoming events?
Yes. So we have our next after hours at CMP with live music, and that's on July 28th. Then our next member benefit workshop is on August 3rd, and that's 1 hour where you can ask all of your questions about what benefits you haven't taken advantage of and how to make the most out of your membership. Then we're doing a health and wellness professional meetup on August 25th. So we don't have an after hours in August, but it's just for health and wellness professionals. It's no cost to attend, and it's open to anybody, health and wellness in all of West Seattle, member, non-member, anybody who'd like to attend. So we really want to create a little bit more of a referral network for health and wellness professionals. Then I know everyone's favorite event, we have our quarterly Adopt a Street cleanup on September 1st. John Malding was an all-star performer, so we will be recruiting him back. Dawn Leverett is second place for largest trash item ever found. Second only to that dresser that we found abandoned on that one corner. So that'll be 5 to 6 on September 1st. It's great. Thank you for showing us your dog, John. And then we've got, we're going to do a quick happy hour at Easy Street Records after. Last time we did LA Bay Brewing. This time we'll do Easy Street. And then one update about our fundraiser for Pot Pie Factory. They donated over 900 pounds of halal chicken to the West Seattle Food Bank and a bunch of other food to the White Center Food Bank. And that's $1,025 that we've raised out of $2,300. So we're still raising money, but they've already donated all of the food. And those are my announcements. Thank you, Dawn.
Mm-hmm. So are you ready to get going with the program? Okay, I'd love to introduce our speakers today. We have Aaron Donaldson with Cornerstone Benefits Consulting. We have Karol Munsinger, a registered health underwriter with Charter Healthcare and Charter Healthcare Consultant with Financial Designs Incorporated. And we have Don Bazemore with Pivar Financial Group. So we'll have our speakers take it away.
Yes, first up is Aaron Donaldson.
Right on. Hey, thanks for having us. And oh, Don, here's your trophy, brother. Your all-star trophy.
My all-star trophy. His all-star trophy.
Yeah, so Aaron Donaldson, Cornerstone Benefits Consulting. Thanks for having me today. And I think I'm going to talk about a little bit, it focuses business, how businesses can retain and recruit high-quality, talented people. And I think a lot of it has to do with mindset. And, we can sit here and we can go, well, everything's tough right now. We've got inflation, we've got supply shortages, we've got this and that. Nobody knows how fuel prices have impacted more so than me. I was just sharing in our pre-meeting prior to the session, and I just came back from a 3-month US tour visiting a bunch of my agents across the country. And it stings when you got to pay $6.39 for a gallon of gas or $6.79 for a gallon of gas or whatever. And actually and I don't know why diesel is more than everything else when it takes the least amount of refinement, but hey, what can you do? What can you do? So when I talk about mindset and when I'm talking to businesses, often we use the term small business. And I'd like us to maybe change that thinking a little bit. No business is small. Every business has a value. Every business has a contribution. And when we start using words like small, or I just do this, or I just work by myself, or whatever, I think we put ourselves in a box. And so when Cornerstone, when we go out and we meet business owners, we meet decision makers, we have this conversation. Obviously, insurance is what the core products that we offer, but it's just that it's a product. And what we really want to focus on is how can we help your business grow? And so when we're talking about language that we use, when we're talking about the mindset that we have, that sort of thing, that's what we really like to share with our clients, is that, yeah, you may be starting out smaller or just have a few people on your team, but what can we do to help you expand? What's your vision? What's your goal? Where would you like to be? Now, surprisingly enough, we come across a lot of people that they're okay running sole operator, or they're okay, having 2 or 3 people on their team, and that's okay, because they don't want to do the other part of as a business grows, which is personnel management, or what I like to refer to as adult daycare. Yeah, but basically, when we're talking to businesses that want to offer some sort of benefit, I think what a lot of people have an impression, in order to offer benefits, they've got to offer everything all at once. And that's not necessarily the case. So what we do with a lot of businesses, we help baby step them into a benefit program. We focus on the program. Now, medical insurance is obviously a core part of that program. And it's also the most expensive part of that program for the business under the current guidelines that a business has to follow if they're going to bring a medical program into the mix. But it doesn't necessarily have to start there. Benefits can be defined in a lot of different ways, where you can bring certain insurance products in at no cost to the business or very low cost to the business. We do that quite often. Sometimes benefits can be just something where you're creating culture, building a team mindset. And so that could be in the form of doing a workshop or doing some sort of team event, which that's some of the things that we can bring to the table to help facilitate one of our more popular programs, right? And have been for probably the last 1.5 years now, is a financial wellness and literacy workshop we do. Just showing people certain financial concepts, techniques, things that they can take home with them right away and start implementing. And it doesn't cost the business anything, nor the employees. It's a complimentary workshop. So there's a lot of different ways benefits can be introduced into the workplace that don't necessarily have to start with that full-blown medical package or that full-blown medical dental vision type of deal. Now, don't get me wrong, we help businesses set those things up, but I don't think it always has to start there. And so I think the education piece to take away, or that I'd like to everybody in this call take away, is where are you at and where would you like to get started? Because there's multiple entry points. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. And when it comes to, in our pre-meeting, one thing that came up in the conversation is lots of times people don't do anything because, one, either they don't know where to start, or two, it's too confusing and their biggest concern is, how do I communicate this to the team? How do we get the information out to the people? I don't know anything about it, so I don't know how to get that communication out. And one thing Cornerstone prides itself on is we do one-on-one benefit consultations with every single person in your group. But you don't have to become the expert. No different than if I was to invite any of you to my place of work or my home to do something for me. I'm not the expert. That's why you're visiting me. We're having a conversation because you know how to do what you do and I know how to do what I do. And so we want to make sure. My background is education. In fact, I was supposed to be a high school history teacher. Look at me now. Who knows? The universe takes us down certain paths, and my path ended up here. And I'm not complaining. I love my path. I love where I'm at. We love what we do. We want to help people. Our passion is business. Insurance is just the product. And we know we can help people protect themselves, protect their families. But our passion is really this is where you're at now. Where would you like to be? And we want to be an advocate. We want to be team member and help you get to that next level, that next place that you want to do business. So when we're to kind of, in summary, benefits don't have to start big. You can take small steps. You'll provide value to your team, provide ways to help retain the people that you already have. And then when you're looking to recruit and you're looking to expand, then we can look at what pieces you can then implement to facilitate that. And yeah, so that's what we specialize in, is helping the business grow. We use insurance as as one of the tools in the toolbox to help you do that. But at the end of the day, we really want to be right there along with your team. I think I stayed in my 8 minutes.
Awesome. Awesome. Dawn, would you like to introduce our next panelist?
Sorry, I've introduced them all at once and did not do that right. Next, we're going to have Karol Munsinger, registered health underwriter and charter healthcare consultant for Financial Designs, Inc.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be here. So those that don't know me, my name's Karol Munsinger. I work at Financial Designs. We're a small women-owned business we're right here in West Seattle. And we work with individuals and families. We work with small businesses. We also work with clients that need Medicare assistance. So strictly, pretty much, we just deal with health insurance. We're an official enrollment center for Washington Health Plan Finder, and we find that that's sometimes really beneficial when talking to small businesses, because sometimes they're, as Aaron was saying, you don't have to start with everything all at once. So we can, an employer that maybe doesn't want to offer insurance, but wants to have some support to make sure that their employees have coverage, even if it's elsewhere, we can help enroll people through Washington Health Plan Finder. We can also talk to them about maybe setting up a stipend for their employees, letting their employees pick their own plans. And then we can also help people with setting up a small business plan for the business, if that's what makes sense for the business. A lot of employers are still really struggling post-pandemic, as post-pandemic as we are, try and hire people. It's amazing to me how employers are still struggling to find quality employees and retain people once they start. The trends that we've been kind of seeing in the last few weeks and months is I've been approached by a number of small businesses that are interested in starting an employer plan, because the people that are interested in working there are asking that question up front. Well, what are you going to pay me? But also, what type of benefits do you offer to the employees? Do you offer health insurance and those kinds of things? So a lot of people for the very first time have been approaching us to talk about how does that work? What are the rules? How do I set this up for my employees? What does that look like? What are the costs and those kinds of things? The other thing that we've seen a lot of this year is that sort of the young invincible, the young adults who typically in the past wouldn't necessarily have health insurance. We've seen a lot of 26-year-olds who are moving off parents' plans, who are just insisting that they have health insurance, which is great. So we're seeing a lot of young people who are now sort of understanding the benefits of having health insurance, being healthier, not just going without health insurance. And so, I think employers are seeing that. We're seeing that as well. There's definitely some pros and cons to doing employer-sponsored health insurance. It's a great tool to recruit people. It's a great tool to retain people. I think one of the things too is if your staff is healthier, if they have some access to maybe primary care with a copay and things like that, they're going to go seek care before they get so sick that then they're missing a lot of days of work. I think it creates a good environment. There's a lot of health and wellness tools and things that you can provide even as a business with one to 50 employees to help employees stay healthy and sort of create a healthy workplace. Some businesses like the fact that they're paying those premiums, but it's a deduction, it's a deductible expense for the company. You know, and mirroring what Aaron said, companies don't have to do everything all at once. Maybe you look at health insurance one year, you add some dental the next year, or you start with something as simple as a disability and life policy for employees, those kinds of things. I think some of the things that surprise employers when we sit down to talk to them about insurance is one of the things we always talk about is not just the new people they're trying to recruit, but what are their employees that they have now. So if we have a business that maybe has some of the workers that work full time who'd be eligible, but maybe they have a lower household income because they have a large family or they're just a lower wage earner, that kind of thing. One of the things that can come up is that maybe these employees are getting benefits through the Washington Health Plan Finder and they're getting help paying their premiums, a tax credit or a subsidy. And once an employer offers health insurance to them, they are no longer able to accept assistance paying their premiums for themselves. They can still get help for their family. But I think one of the things to keep in mind is that the employer plans can sometimes be a little bit more expensive than what a business is thinking. So we try and really mitigate you know, the financial risk, not only to the employer, but to the employee. And that if you're going to offer benefits, then it's got to be attractive enough that it makes sense to the employee as well, that they want to participate because it's not more expensive to them than staying on their individual plan in the individual market. So we try and talk about all those things and helping people decide, you know, what makes sense for the business as a whole for all the employees that might be eligible. I guess the sort of the takeaway I would say is that just in speaking on behalf of Dawn and Aaron and myself is that, you know, we really encourage people who are interested to talk to a broker, reach out and find out what it entails to have employer sponsored benefits or to offer some, you know, different types of things to your employees. And I think we all can be a great resource for anyone that's interested in trying to figure out a way to retain people and also entice new people to come to work. It's just, I think the labor market's still really difficult. So, you know, use us all as a resource. And, you know, we'd be happy to talk to anyone about what you can do to offer some type of benefits to get those people to stay with you and bring in some new quality employees as well.
Great, thank you so much. Next up, we have Don Bazemore with Pivar Financial Services.
Hello, hello. So I will attempt to share my screen here and see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll just go straight into the talk. Okay, can people see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
You're
wow, it worked. Yay, I can't believe it. Haha. So good morning, everybody. I'm Don Bazemore with our Financial Group. Been in the industry for 25 years, seen pretty much all the changes in health insurance that you can imagine. So I'll just kind of go briefly into the services I offer and then just kind of add my 2 cents on how we can help that small business owner attract employees and retain them. So basically kind of goes like this. I do a lot, half my book of business is individuals, and those individuals can be all of a sudden unemployed. What do you do? Well, what they don't know is, technically speaking, if they don't have an income, I can get them free healthcare and it costs them nothing. And so they're extremely happy about that and shocked, actually, because maybe they've been unemployed for the very first time. And it's called Apple Care, and it's through the WA Health Plan Finder. So I'm a registered broker with the state. So that's a great thing for an unemployed person to have health care. And as a result of them getting an income, we change their income answer in their account. And all of a sudden, now they have to buy a plan through one of the local carriers. And now at that point, I become compensated. through the local carriers. So my time is free to the client, which I think is kind of cool. The big bulk of my business is self-employed. That's my, bread and butter, self-employed. I'm a master at finding all the subsidies, getting really into the weeds with those self-employed people, making sure that they understand the subsidy is real and we can cut their costs sometimes in half. I've got people paying $9 a month for healthcare as a result of utilizing the system the right way, right? So that's the self-employed. And then you've got the small business owner that's got 49 employees or less, is kind of my wheelhouse on that. And what's really cool this year is now for the first time, we can offer what's called a group of one. What that means to a self-employed person is that you can switch to a group plan instead of an individual plan. As a result of that, the products are better. And here's the real secret sauce. If you've got a group plan in place, you might be just one person in your family, and all you need to be is an LLC or an S corp to qualify for that. But now you can hire somebody, your first employee, and offer them benefits out of the gate. That was not true before. You had to have at least one W-2 employee minimum to start the group plan in the first place. Guess what? That's a catch-22. You can't get there from here. So now all of a sudden, I've got small business owners on a group of one who are now in the catbird seat of offering benefits to their first employee, second employee, or whatever. So that's kind of a big deal. And it's been very, very successful that way. And Kaiser's that big vendor that's been offering that group of one. I think they're smarter than everybody else in terms of how they're user friendly to the broker community and offering that group of one, which has been very successful. So dental, vision, all that stuff is part of it. I do a lot of life insurance and disability income for those employees. It's full service. I interview the brand new employee. I explain the benefits that are being offered to them in detail. And what's really cool now with small businesses can offer more than one plan. They don't have to offer the same plan. So they can be 2 or 3 different plans in the same business that makes the fit better. I think one of the things I'm very proud of also is my claim resolution and client advocacy. I have been in claim battles with insurance companies that didn't pay a claim for some reason. I have never, ever lost a claim dispute ever. I've won every case. My biggest one was $150,000 denial on a heart attack situation. My other one was a $37,000 denial on prostate cancer treatment that was denied by Primera. And as a result of my team and what we did, we got all that reversed and paid. So I take it very seriously, taking care of the clients and especially the employees and their business owners as it relates to claim resolution. I don't know about other brokers that do that, quite honestly. So I'm kind of proud of that service. And also sometimes it's not a good plan to put a group plan in place because it's too expensive. One particular carrier or one particular business, we did just a dental plan to start somewhere, which I taken on Aaron's comment. And what we learned was because these are low income people that are working in a daycare, it was much more beneficial to each employee to go the subsidized route to get much more affordable healthcare that way. And we did just a stipend. So it was just a medical expense bonus for a flat same contribution for every employee, and everybody was very happy. But that was the affordable route we took. So every case, every business is unique, and I'm very good at figuring out how to help them the best way. So that's kind of it what I do. But I would say this, that for anybody who wants to retain and attract employees, the benefit packages are pretty much the key part of it. And I'm consider myself an expert at helping that business owner do that. So anyway, that's kind of it for now.
Thank you, Don. All right, now let's move into our question and answer portion. You can raise your hand through the Zoom functionality, or you can drop the question in the chat and I'll read it aloud. I have a question right out of the gate. And it's about how do you classify a small business, or how many employees can you cover? What are the boundaries? It's very interesting to learn that you can have insurance and be a group of one. How many, what's the largest amount anyone can cover?
Tens of thousands. I mean,
1,000.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. And Carol and Don, do you have the same?
Yeah, it's just my wheelhouse is the smaller business. I mean, Mara might be more capable of doing the 1,000 group type company. That's not my wheelhouse. I'm kind of like 50 employees or less. But the real answer is, one. I mean, if you could be one self-employed person with an LLC or an S corp, that's the only qualifier, and be a group of one, and that's it. That's your starting point. And now you can add as many employees that you can afford. And the other thing we didn't really talk about is the contribution percentage. The minimum is 50%, right? So the cost to the employer is 50% of the actual cost of the premium as a minimum contribution. Some employers do 75%. There's very few that do 100. The most, I think my best choice is 75-25, where the employer is paying 75 and the employees haven't paying 25%. But sometimes that's not affordable. So the real cost is 50% of the actual cost of the new employee to the business owner.
Got it. Carol, Aaron, any more comments about this?
Yeah, so most of my employer groups I work with now have less than 10 employees. I have a lot of one-person groups that I work with. Small business, I guess, for insurance companies, sort of the definition is 1 to 49 employees. So that's sort of the definition that they go by.
Okay. Aaron, any final comment before we go to our next question?
No,
Okay.
Don and Carol covered it.
Okay, we've got 2 questions about the group of one. Lauren is very interested in that group of one concept and is interested in a consult with you, Don, to get a quote for coverage. She is self-employed and carries an individual policy. And then John asked, how does the group of one health insurance pricing compare to typical rates seen with large employers?
Yeah, I can jump on that. I did some real specific comparison with exactly that question. What's the cost of an individual plan versus a group plan? Here's what we found out. The costs are almost identical. We're talking like 10 to 20 bucks difference, like an individual LifeWise plan versus a group plan, right? So the costs are very similar in actuality. But the benefit to the group plan, in my opinion, is the benefit structure itself. The actual plan design on the group plan has something I really like, and it's called Lab and X-ray. There's a Lab and X-ray copay feature on the group plan that the individual plans do not have. Therefore, if you've got Lab and X-ray, all you're paying is a copay, not subject to your deductible. So to me, that benefit outline wins the business. So so now, if you're getting a subsidy, it's not apples and apples, right? If you have an individual plan and you're getting a subsidy, the pricing is not apples and apples. So it's only if you're comparing regular price individual with group. But so it's not like a cost savings, but the costs are very similar. So it does matter that possibly for the same price, you could get a better plan and then offer, like I said, that plan to the brand new employee you might want to hire.
To add to that, sorry, Carol, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
To add to that, though, what you have to be conscientious of is as the group starts to grow, is the age demographic of the group. Because the definition, the only thing that groups under 49 or less employees, it's all based on age and residential zip code. So, John, you were the one that fielded this question. Yeah. So as you start to build out your team, what becomes advantageous for you is if you start hiring a bunch of younger people, then the individual pricing isn't even in the ballpark because those younger folks are pulling your premium rate down. Conversely, if you start hiring people the same age or older than you, then the individual market could be a better pricing solution. But as Don just mentioned, what you're going to find in the group product categories from the carriers is lower deductible options for the same price, lab and x-ray co-pays versus having that trigger a deductible type of scenario, multiple plan options to offer to your folks, which Don mentioned in his presentation. A variety of the carriers, even with a group of 3 or 4, will allow you to bring in multiple plan options so that not everyone is pigeonholed in one plan that we all know one size doesn't fit all. So if you're just standing alone, I 100% agree with what Don said, but you start adding people to the payroll, then the demographic of the group is going to start dictating your premium costs following your subsequent years. So it's just a matter of each year you have to just see where you sit and where the demographic of your group is at.
Yeah, let me just add to what Aaron just said. So if you're a group of 1, and let's say you're, a 50-year-old person, you're going to be, the cost is going to be based on your age, right? So exactly what he said, you start hiring a bunch of young people, the actual employee rate is going to still be the same. It's only during renewal, when everything gets renewed and repriced, that everything will be calculated on an average. So it does help to hire younger people. And I've got 60-year-olds who are paying $400 a month for healthcare because they got a bunch of 30-year-olds in the mix, right? So that's a huge advantage. So he's absolutely right. That's just kind of how it works.
Karol, I believe you had a comment.
Yeah, so the only other thing I would say is that one of the things that people find really attractive too about doing an employer plan versus an individual plan is that the employer plans, you're looking at, unless you're picking Kaiser or HMO, you're looking at a PPO plan. And people find that really attractive in that they can pretty much go anywhere for care. The individual and family plans, everything's either an HMO or an EPO, where you have to stay in network when you're in the individual market. And when you look at an employer plan, you can pretty much go anywhere. You're also going to have coverage outside the state of Washington, which is very limited on the individual market. And you're going to have international coverage. So sometimes I'll have someone that has a small business, maybe they have kids in college in another part of the country. For them, it's very advantageous to do an employer-sponsored health plan for the small business because everybody's covered wherever they are. They're not having to worry about emergency coverage only outside the state. So having that PPO availability is also a really, really attractive part of small business health insurance.
Yeah. Spot on.
Yep. And to add what Karol, she dropped it a little bit. I don't know if people caught it when she was presenting. When you run a program through the group, employer sponsored, you got massive tax benefits that you don't get individual market. And so you got those, I'll be the portion that the employer pays has tax benefits. Whatever you're taking out of the employee's check comes out pre-tax, so you're not paying the FICA component on that money. The employee's saving a little bit on taxes as well. So when you're doing that side by side, there's multiple pieces. It's not just about premium. There's multiple pieces, and let's face it, I say this to some of the groups that have 1, 2, 3 people on the plan. And some of the people are maybe on individual or they're through a spouse's plan or whatever. When you're bringing a benefit, medical insurance, and this is specific to medical insurance because it's the one that has to play by all the rules. Dental programs, any of the ancillary products, or the short-term, long-term disability products, that they don't have the same rule structure. But when you're talking about medical insurance, there are tax components that could play a role, and that could have an impact to the bottom line, a positive impact to the bottom line. Secondly, we all work hard, right? Nod your head. Yeah, no. Yeah, we all work hard. So one of the perks as being the owner of the business is have the business take care of you. And if you're going to get some tax breaks along with that, then, you know, too often in in my experience, people are focused on cash flow, cost. Well, there's a cost on both sides, but which one's going to benefit you the most? Because you got tax implications on one side or the other. You work hard for your business, let your business pay you back a little bit. It may not be in the form of a paycheck, but your business can at least start taking care of you. You know, the story, my father, and just quick side story, passed away last year, had dementia, all of that. And my mom's accountant, she just said, let the business start taking care of him. He spent his entire life building this business, and now the business finally got to take care of him. So that's kind of an extreme example, but it paints the picture. But you work hard for what you do. You're proud of what you do, stand tall in what you do, and let your business start taking care of you. So I don't work in the individual market. So Don or Karol would be perfect people to go and speak to and look at that comparison. What are your tax advantages? What are to stay on individual or set up a group? But there are a lot of variables involved that go beyond the cost of the premium.
Spot on. Yeah, the tax advantages are kind of the hidden benefit of the group plan. Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
We've got a really interesting question. Thank you so much for asking this next one, Andrew. Do any of you work with companies that are offering coaching as an employee wellness benefit, even if partially subsidized? I like this question so much because people do ask about other things that like chiropractic services, therapy services, those benefits that aren't like, okay, yeah, I'm not, it's not that I broke my arm, but some of the other health benefits that help you have quality of life. Can anyone speak to benefits that subsidize, even if it's only partially subsidized, other wellness benefits, specifically in Andrew's case, coaching as an employee wellness benefit?
What kind of coaching?
Andrew, would you like to?
Well, the kind that helps you be healthy, the kind that makes you feel better so you don't need to go to the doctor eventually for a mental health or physical health issue. But I guess you could call it life coaching, leadership coaching, business coaching, but any kind, health coaching even.
Yeah, I can speak that a little bit. The insurance companies specifically, to my knowledge, don't have a specific program for that, right? So it's like if I have a wellness coach, well, I got it to my fingertips, I got several wellness coaches, right? I could introduce a wellness coach to a business owner, right? As an offering, and be that connector to make that happen. So therefore, now that wellness coach is teaching the employees exactly what the owner wants them to learn, which is how to live a healthy lifestyle, right? But I've got those coaches in my pocket, so to speak, that I can send to an owner if that's what they want to do, if that makes sense.
A lot of the carriers, because of what's happened over the last couple of years, have definitely bolstered their wellness programs. In the past, you'd have like EAP programs and employee assistant type programs. You get 4 visits in a calendar year, that sort of thing. Now what the carriers are putting on the table are things like they're bringing in entire programs where people can dial in, and it's no cost to the employee. It has no cost impact to the employee's paycheck, where they can dial in and go through an entire smoking cessation program. They can go through an entire dietary type program. And this is bundled in as part of their package. So I think the best, and I've worked with a couple other people that are in that health and wellness space and asked a very similar question. That's usually sponsored by the carrier. It's something that you would want to get into the carrier and say, I've got this service, and is this something that you could bundle in? But when you're talking to the carriers, they're wanting to look at what you can do on a national platform, because they're going to want to be inclusive. Regents or Primera, which in the state of Washington, one side's Blue Cross, the other side's Blue Shield. But everywhere else in the country, Blue Cross Blue Shield is one and the same. It's one entity. And so when you have a Regents plan, for example, and Karol brought this up, when you're on a group plan and you have it, say, through Regents, you actually are tapped into a national network now, where your Regents plan on the exchange, you're not. It's here just in the state of Washington. So when you're talking to these carriers saying, hey, I've got this wellness program and would love to have people be a part of it, how can we implement this? It's you really, at the end of the day, Andrew, you're either using a resource like Don, where he's introducing you directly to the business owner, and it's because you've got a program, and when, of course, whatever costs or whatever are associated for you to give that training, that coaching. The other approach is, what can you do with the carriers? Now, Kaiser is a good start, and the reason is Kaiser is very set up very regionally, they're very territorial. You could start with, say, Kaiser Washington, and they would look at that as a standalone offering in the state of Washington. If they like what you put on the table, they like what your team does and all of that, then you could look at doing kind of what they call Kaiser Northwest, which then now you're including Idaho and Oregon. Then you can move into Kaiser California and so on and so on. So they're very territorial, but you start working with companies like United Healthcare, you're dealing on a national platform at that point.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Kaiser because of my dad's health, and I'm kind of hoping to leave the insurance companies out of it, and actually just the employers wanting to offer it because they're investing in their people is more what I was curious about. If you know any employers that are, doing that on that level. So, but I'll start with Don, get introduced because he knows. So he knows people. Thanks.
He knows a guy.
He knows.
Yeah, I got several of those people in my pocket. So if you wanted that kind of coaching, I've got those people that are ready to go.
All right, next question for me again. When people have started new jobs and then the benefits kick in after 90 days or 6 months or a wait period, is that a requirement, or can an employer offer benefits from the very beginning?
Yes, they can.
Yes, it's their decision on how they set up the original master application as to when employees become eligible. My default answer to a brand new owner is first day following 30 days. That's my favorite choice, because I think an owner is going to get a feel for a brand new employee within 30 days. If they put 60 or 90, in my opinion, that's too long. And I think it hurts your ability to hire somebody if they have to wait that long for benefits. That's just my opinion. But you can go day of hire if you want. You can do that quick. It's up to you as the owner how you want to start your master application and what you decide from the beginning how a new employee becomes eligible.
Yeah, and then I think the thing is that everybody then that you hire is given that same probationary period.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
it's uniform.
Yep.
I think it's industry specific too. When you got industries that have high turnover, they typically don't like starting that early.
Yeah.
Right.
When you've got industries that, trades companies are a good example. Professional services companies are a good example. Those are going to be the companies that will typically have that shorter waiting period, because the employer, there's a lot of work, not so much on our end. It's pretty easy to install a new person, and it's even easier to terminate a person out of the system. But they've got payroll that they're doing. They've got onboarding costs, then they've got payroll implementation, and then they've got offboarding costs. And if that person comes on and then terminates, 6 weeks later, but we've in 30 days set up their benefits and all of that. So it's paying attention to, you know, what industry they're in, what's their typical churn rate, that sort of thing. Food service, retail, they typically are going to have higher turnover rates. So, you know, they'll typically want that little bit longer waiting period. Under the Affordable Care Act, 90 days is the maximum waiting period. So you can't go past 90 days.
Mhm.
And the caveat with that is it's actually their benefits are eligible the 90th day. And that sometimes can be a little bit of an accounting hiccup for businesses, because if, say, somebody starts on the 17th, well, 90 days later, their benefits go effective on the 17th, or 90 days later, depending on how many 31 days, you know, months you have in between. Sometimes it could be the 15th or the 16th. But point being is that the remainder of that month gets prorated. And then if they're taking a percentage out, like Don mentioned, you know, 25% out of the employee's check, that proration has it, you know. So now you're getting into some accounting functions that some businesses don't have the capacity to do, or don't have the staff to take care of something like that. And so it's just about being careful. We prefer, if it's going to be whatever it is, it could be the first of the month after date of hire, which gives us a challenge if they hire on the 29th. But, you know, we can still get it turned on. Or as Don mentioned, you know, 30-day wait at the first of the month after 30 days. We typically do the 60-day wait first of the month after the 60th day of employment. So, you know, it's just, but I've got a handful of groups, they want that 90 days. They want that 90 because they want it to mirror their operational probationary period.
Mm,
Right.
that makes sense. And then John asked a question in the chat. Is it true that Amazon starts employees on health insurance on day one?
That is correct.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Well, we're nearing the end of our time. Does anyone have any follow-up questions? I'll be sending out the link to this recorded program and everyone's contact information shortly after this program, so you can contact each panelist directly if you'd like to. Any last questions? No. Going
The
once.
chicken crossed the road because he wanted to.
Good. Great. I'm glad I didn't even have to ask it. In that case, are there any member, and that we'll just go ahead and end this.